But then there's Polk again. I don't know what's going on, man, but 0 targets, 0 receptions, 2 penalties. One was procedural and another was, what did he do? I forget what it was.
For hold?
One was a motion one and one was a hold. Yep, it was a hold on a run. Negated plays. The amount of holds Patriots had, the negated big plays were unbelievable. I digress a little, but an incredibly winnable game based off of all of these senseless penalties. It didn't necessarily make the play. They just happened along with a play that would have turned into a gain or a first down or put them in impossible drive-killing positions. And the amount of fumbles Tennessee had that the Patriots couldn't accidentally fall on, they definitely didn't get those bounces either. So there was a lot that went into this loss beyond just, the turnovers and they lost the game. But this again, here we are again here. And there were a couple sacks Drake May took today that were obvious coverage sacks. And again, without the benefit of film, it's hard to say, well, he did have somebody, just didn't see him or not. You're not totally sure, but from what it looked like to you, I don't know what was happening downfield for the most part in terms of being able to take any shots. And May did not take very many shots downfield because it just doesn't feel like anybody was available for him. Whether it was the rush got there one beat too late on a throw he might have been able to make if he had time to step into it. The miss to Douglas being an example, another half split second there that might have been a connection, and then. I don't know what's happening, but here we got Polk again. No targets, no receptions. Good news is no drops, I guess, but that's it.
Then I think Javon Baker, I'm looking up right now, believe he only played 4 snaps, so not a ton from him.
That was it, huh? I thought he had a few more.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I just don't really understand. I think they really need to sit Polk down. Like, it's getting to the point where, like, this dude needs some kind of drastic change. I understand he's young. Like, I'm not hitting the panic button or anything. You keep putting him out here, and he's not making positive impact plays.
Can I ask a question? Let me ask you a quick question, though, because I know it's not your nature to hit a panic button on a player this early because, again, careers, whatever. What I will say is that the receiver position, I do feel a lot faster than a lot of other places because ultimately, like, it's an individual enough position where just simply beating a person in coverage and or catching balls thrown to you is something you can do regardless, irrespective of the circumstances around you. And fine, if he's really more of a Z and he's playing X and, they're not utilizing him exactly the same ways, you should still see a flash or two. Most receivers, you see enough of the positive to say, I can see how this could turn out good. At this point, there's 0 of it. And I don't think it's too early to say, this is really bad. And I don't know. I'm trying to think of examples where someone has looked this horribly bad and they continued to have any type of career, let alone flourished and became a good player. So the amount of good, which is next to 0, one really good catch down the sideline that was like, the one that got thrown between 2 defenders, I think. I can't remember who that was against. That's it. And, but other than that, I don't know. I mean, bad.
Yeah, I mean, we can literally just go last year like Keyshawn Boutte. His first game was bad. 3 opportunities to make critical grabs, can't keep his feet in bounds, and then you just don't see him for the rest of the year.
Well, I mean, he was bad, but he was benched,
Right. So, I mean, and that's where I think I know that this team wants to play their young guys and they want to give them opportunities, but it's getting to the point now where it's like, all right, like Layden and Ja'lynn are both struggling consistently. And I understand this season is about growth and development. You want to put those guys out there because the only way to get better at football is by playing football. But for Ja'lynn, it really just seems like he's in his head. Like this, it just feels like the mental mistakes are constant. Obviously, like drops aren't just a mental mistake, but when you're a guy like Polk, who was known for having great hands, and then you're just dropping everything, and then like today, you're not even getting the ball thrown to you, and you're still getting called out for doing the wrong things. I mean, again, I don't want to panic on a rookie receiver, but I definitely am at the point now where I just don't see how you keep putting him on the field. I don't know what practice looks like. Maybe he's doing things in practice and it's not translating to the game. I don't know, but it's just the net value that you've gotten from him since that San Francisco game is bad. So, I'm sure he's got a bright future, like Gerard Bayo keeps saying, but it's just you got to start giving somebody opportunities other than him because he just can't follow through. You can't rely on him, and that's the biggest thing. It's like the repeat mistakes. Gerard Mayo said, be an error repeater. We want to put the young guys out there, but you can't keep doing the same things. Obviously, the 2 penalties weren't the exact same thing, but it's still MEs, mental errors. So yeah, I think I've seen enough of Ja'lynn Polk for at least like a week or two.
You know what, though? It did line up as well as it could in terms of who you want to see playing prior to the game, because Osborne and Thornton were both healthy scratches. They were both full participants on the last practice report. They didn't play along with Duggar, which is interesting, and we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. But it sounds like Duggar was legit, still kind of not all the way back for an ankle, though he was the only person who was limited for 3 straight days who did not play, I believe. But those guys were out, and for reasons beyond, I mean, there's a fantasy world in which they're able to trade one or both. Reality is they won't be able to, and we'll probably cut them or give them for a conditional 7th or something like that to a team that just wants
KJ
another body. I'm wondering if Osborne's going to be on the way out here with the deadline coming there. But
one reports have said that both guys have gotten some, like people have inquired about them. I think there is some level of interest, but I also did see a report, like you mentioned, where they said with KJ Osborne, it's either going to be a trade or they're just going to cut him. So
that's what I think.
You're on the right
those
track.
guys, you might have
heard that there are people interested.
Yeah, you might have seen the last of Osborne and Thornton in Patriots uniforms, but I also think people are all set with that. The Thornton dream is dead and has been for a while, and it's okay. I mean, it's not okay. It's a busted 2nd round pick, and you might have another one on your hands. So it's pretty, to quote Marcellus Wallace, pretty effing far from okay. But anyway, that's what you had. You had, I guess, the most exciting group that you could put out there, which included Bourne. Now a few games back off of his pup stint, Booty, Douglas, the 4 rookies, the 2 from last year and the 2 from this year. You had them all, plus your supposed best receiver and your veteran. And again, first couple things we get from these guys are procedural penalties, which isn't great, including one from Bourne where he just runs 7 yards downfield before the ball is snapped. You saw a little from Douglas. You saw a little bit from from Bourne, but again, Baker, as you said, barely gets in there. So they basically played this whole thing with 4 receivers. And then Polk was Polk. So not enough from this group. And, there's no relief in sight unless they're able to go get somebody from somebody else, which I'm not entirely opposed to. Again, I don't want to leave this game completely, but this is where I'm at a little bit here is you got to start getting better somewhere, right? And it's going to involve trade deadlines, free agency, draft. Here's your first opportunity to get a little bit better around Drake May right now. I really want to see them do something. Someone who can potentially help them beyond, and I don't know if one of those players exists. I think it'd be silly to not think about it now. I think it's fair at the very least to look at this group of receivers and say, I think at best you've got a couple of guys who might be decent number 3s, but that you need multiple bodies in here to kind of to jump this up a level. And you got to start finding them.
I think Demario Douglas is still who we think he is. Very tough guy to cover, tough receiver.
Period. Yeah, I like him a lot, but I think he's a 3rd receiver, slot guy, and I don't think necessarily an elite one, but I think he's absolutely the best that they have and clearly the best weapon that they have right now for sure.
Hunter Henry's been super reliable. Almost had
he's been great.
On the sideline. Yeah, there was that one deep ball that Drake May put up there. He almost made the grab, but it was a great play by the defender to force it out.
I like that one a lot.
Yeah, Ramondre Stevenson had to make that crazy catch that actually got the Patriots in position to potentially win the game. But yeah, I mean, I still feel like Kayshon Boutte could be a very good number 2. I want to see the film from this game and see if he was getting smothered or how open he's been, because pretty much every week he's done a pretty good job creating separation. But the other guys, again, man, I don't want to go too deep into the rookies because they are still rookies and they haven't got folks had ton of opportunities. But obviously, we're hoping that's not the end of their careers. But yeah, I think we've all known that. These are a bunch of guys who are probably going to max out as number 2's best case scenario. I like Javon. I think he could be maybe a low end 1 if he hits his ceiling completely. But yeah, I think we all know that they need some receiver help. I keep putting Darius Slayton's name out there. I know people want T. Higgins, but T. Higgins has been hurt all season. I don't really know what the thing. You also can't extend him this year, so I don't really know how much it benefits you to trade for a guy like him. But Slayton is a guy who has the perfect skill set for Drake May, where he can win on the line of scrimmage, can win outside the numbers. Very good vertical receiver, can take the top off. I think Belichick raved about him, called him one of the better receivers that no one really talks about. I put his name out there during the Giants-Steelers game or whatever it was. That's really the one guy in terms of the receivers that I think they could realistically trade for without giving up like a top 100 pick that I'm saying, yes, get him. I know he's not going to, send waves through the fan base or anything like that. Ojolari, another guy that I'd be really interested in if he's available.